You can start, sir.
Okay, thanks, ma'am. Hello, good evening, all of you. I hope you all are doing great. Now, I don't know how many of you are watching me, but because I can just see a few participants who are there on Zoom with me. And the best part is I know most of them. So I'm pretty relaxed right now. Okay, so on a formal note, good evening, all of you. Now, today we all have gathered here to celebrate Parakram Divas, right? Now, let me take you to the slides that I've prepared. You might find it interesting. And I apologize in advance if I do bore you, but I'll try my best to keep you entertained. Yeah. So this is what we are going to discuss in the next 45 minutes. Am I free? Recontextualizing Subhas Chandra Bose in the present era. Okay. And we have organized this because today is, as all of you know, Subhas sir's birthday. Okay. So this is January 23. Okay. And this is the day on which we saw a great star born. Okay. And finally, Indian government, in order to give his due respect to Netaji, it has come up with a plan of celebrating this day as a Parakram Divas. Okay. So this is the first version of it, and I'm really glad that I got this opportunity to interact with all of you on this occasion of Parakram Divas, the first one, which SRM AP has decided to organize right now. Okay, so first of all, thank you all for joining in, okay, and it's already 5:02, so we'll get started. Okay, so I did intentionally choose a topic such as, am I free? Because this is a question which sounds very easy, but is actually very difficult to answer. Okay. Now, if instead of this, I ask you, are we free? Right. So the moment I say, are we free? The question becomes a universal question, right? And we don't bother, we don't care to answer it because we think that this question is not for me. It must be for the rest of the world, but not for me, especially not for me, right? So, like things become very difficult when we start, connecting ourselves with the things that are universal, right? So instead of saying, are we free? Instead of asking ourselves, are we free? The moment we invert the question and we make it, am I free? It becomes a big question to answer. And sometimes we do find ourselves in very tight spot while answering it. Okay, so I'll try my best to at least help you all find an answer to this question, am I free, with the help of the talk that I've planned for you. Okay, and let me inform you in advance. What I've done is I have planned the entire talk in 2 phases. In the first phase, we are just going to talk about Subhas Chandra Bose, and we are going to look through, okay, the tough journey that he has undertaken, okay, and he would always be celebrated as one of the best leaders of this, of our country, not only our country, but one of the greatest international leaders, right? And in the second part of the talk, I will try to recontextualize Netaji, and we will try to self-examine what are the lessons that we can learn from looking at his history, looking at his adventures, looking at his life, his throughout journey. Okay, so we'll just try to pitch in, we'll try to connect ourselves with the experiences that Netaji had, and we'll try to find out whether all those things may be applied in this present era in order to be benefited, right? So this is what the plan is. It's a very simple thing, although it might sound very difficult, but I'll try my best to make it as simple as possible. Okay, so let's get started. So the first thing I'd like to inform all of you, and I know most of you would be aware, when it comes to, as we are celebrating Parakram Divas, we need to know what is the meaning of the word Parakram. Parakram is a Sanskrit word, okay, and it means strength, okay, strength, courage, valor, whatever you call it, right? Now, if you just look at the word, Okay, parakram. Now I'm a language teacher. I do have the habit of post-morteming every word. So if you look at the word parakram, okay, it is made up of two, like you can dissociate the word into two smaller units, par akraman, right? So you have to like attack something, par akraman, parakrama, right? Parakram, किसी चीज पे आक्रमण करना, right? Now, it all depends on what is that par on which you are going to akraman, right? So if you are able to use parakram in the right direction, definitely it is going to lead you to the right place. On the other hand, if you're going to attack anything which you shouldn't be attacking, rather, it is definitely going to lead you to somewhere where you'll find it difficult to come out of, right? So parakram is a very risky thing, okay? It depends on you how you use it, okay? If you're using it in the right way, it will lead you to the right thing. If you use it in the wrong way, it will lead you to the wrong place, okay? So when we are all set to celebrate Parakram Divas, we need to take an oath. We need to understand that we will be using our Parakram in the right direction, okay? So with this good word, I like to start with the talk, okay? So now, when we try to find an answer to the question, am I free, okay? Now, freedom comes with a lot of responsibility as well. Okay, being free is not that easy. Okay, and as I said, parakram is a very risky thing. Is you need to handle it very carefully. Similar is freedom. Okay, freedom is as well a very risky thing, and you need to handle it very carefully. Okay, so when I say, am I free? Before I answer that, yes, I am free, I need to understand one thing. No matter what rules surround me, I'm free because I know that I alone am morally responsible for everything I do. Now, this is a very good statement given by Robert Heinlein, right? Now, he opines that yes, I'm free. And when I say I'm free, I mean no matter what rules surround me, okay? So I have come out of everything. But I need to understand one thing, that I need to behave responsibly, all right? I need to behave responsible, because I am the one who is going to take each and everything, okay, hereafter, and I'm going to bear the responsibility of whatever I do. Only then I can use my freedom in the right direction, okay? Otherwise, my freedom, instead of being a boon, it might become a bane for many of us, or many of, not only me, but many of people surrounding me, right? So before being free, we need to understand what is the responsibility that comes at par. What is the responsibility that comes along with freedom, okay? Now, looking into Subhas Chandra Bose, as this is, we are celebrating his birth anniversary. Now, first, I'd like to take, take a few moments to take you through the tough journey that he had, okay? Now, I know most of you would be aware of all these things because I'm just sharing information. And I'm doing it intentionally so that I can help you all come to a stage where we all would be equally charged up and equally enlightened to share our viewpoints. Once we know what are the things that Subhas Chandra Bose, experienced in order to, what are the efforts that he made to gain us our freedom, okay? Now, I know most of you would be aware of all these things, so I'll not be discussing each and every point in detail, but I'd just like to touch upon a few important things. But before I do that, I'd like to share with you another, an idea, you can say, or an opinion of mine. Look, actually, I strongly believe that there are three concepts. One is information, the other is knowledge, and the third is skill, right? Now, most of us are busy gathering information. We have a lot of information, right? We are informed about everything these days because of social media accounts, because of a lot of news channels. We get a lot of information. But the problem is, what good use is the information if it doesn't become a knowledge, right? Now, how to make information knowledge, and then how to convert our knowledge into a skill. If we understand that, right, this trick can really make our life very useful, fruitful, and easy, right? So now, before I share again a lot of information about Subhas Chandra Bose, I'd like to inform you why am I sharing this information? Because I don't want you to limit all these things just into the information repository that you have. I want it to become knowledge. Now, when does information become knowledge? Only when you gain an understanding, only when you gain the ability to analyze the information and use it for your personal ends. So when we become capable of using particular information to help ourselves or help the society or make use of the information, only then the information turns into knowledge. And how does knowledge turn into skill? When we start practicing it, when we start using that knowledge to solve real life problems, when we start using that knowledge to help ourselves and the society around us, right? Then it becomes skill, right? So this talk actually I designed not only to burden you with a lot of other information which you may be having already or which you might not be having. That is not my concern. My concern is, can we use whatever information we have, as like in regard to Netaji, can we use that information, make it knowledge which can be converted into a skill, right? So I'm just trying to establish, okay, I'm just trying to link information to knowledge and knowledge to skill. And that is what I'll be trying to do in the next half an hour. Okay, so first let's focus on the information and then we'll discuss it. When we are discussing it, it will become knowledge, a part of knowledge, our knowledge, and then we'll see whether this knowledge can be like skilled and can we come up with certain skills with the help of this knowledge or not. I think we should be able. Okay, so the first thing, starting from, like from the very beginning, as you all know, Subhas Chandra Bose was born, like January 23, 1897, okay, in Cuttack, okay. Then Cuttack was a province of Bengal, okay. So it was Jankinath Bose, his father, and Prabhavati Devi, okay. And one interesting fact, okay, which some of you might not be knowing, he was the ninth child of a total of 14 siblings, right? So this is one information which even I was like, oh yeah, okay. This is something which you might find interesting. Okay, then Subhas Chandra Bose, national temperament, nationalistic temperament, like he was very not aggressive, but he was very upfront, right? He was very bold, courageous, and this he displayed, when he assaulted Professor Orton, right, in Presidency College, because he gave a statement, anti-Indian statement, right? And then he was expelled from the Presidency College, and then he joined Scottish Church College, from where he obtained his BA in 1918 in philosophy. Okay, and in 1920 he was able to crack Indian civil services. Okay, but like he just joined civil services, and later in 1921 itself, April, I suppose, yeah, it was April 1921, he decided to resign because he wanted to contribute to Indian national movement, right? That is the freedom struggle. He wanted to be a part of it. So although he had a very, a very comfortable life was awaiting, but still he decided to choose the way not taken by most, right? So he had that guts, he had that courage, right? He could crack civil services, but still he didn't want to be a slave to the imperial forces. He didn't want to be a slave to British. He wanted to serve his country in the other way. Okay? So he decided to join Indian freedom struggle. He joined Congress. He was very close to Gandhi and Nehru once upon a time. Okay, but later, the Congress ideology, especially the philosophy, the Gandhian philosophy of nonviolence, did not suit him, because he was fed up of seeing the violence that was like unless by the British forces, right? He was just not happy with the bloodshed that these British were doing. Okay, and especially that Jallianwala Bagh incident, it really touched him. It forced him to come out of his like non-violent attire and show his aggressive temperament to the imperial forces. Okay, And that was the time that he decided to, again, there was a rift between him and Gandhi and Nehru. And finally, he decided to walk out of Congress. And then he, he was the pioneer of the forward bloc. And then he was arrested. And then he had, house arrest. And one interesting thing which you'd like to, know is when he was under that house arrest, it was very dramatic. Okay, he dressed himself like a Pathan, and with his beard and all, and he left his house. Okay, and then he escaped to via Afghanistan. Okay, so I think I did. Yeah, yeah. So dressed as a Pathan, sporting a long beard which he grew overnight, this car which he used to escape displayed at his home in Kolkata. Okay, so this is how he escaped the house arrest. Okay, and then he reached Germany via Afghanistan, as I said, and Soviet Union, right? And he was a great admirer of Russia then, but still he joined hands with Hitler, because as there is a saying, right, my enemy's enemy would automatically be my friend. So he thought that Germans would really help him, in his motive, and his motive was just single, to get to see India free. Okay, but anyhow, things did not go well between him and Hitler, and he had to he found that no, Hitler was not the right person who is going to help him in his motive, although he did try his best. Okay, and he even took an oath somewhere. Yes, its members swore the following allegiance to Hitler and Bose. Like here is the oath. I swear by God this holy oath that I will obey the leader of the German race and state, Adolf Hitler, as the commander of the German armed forces in the fight for India, whose leader is Subhas Chandra Bose. Right. So a lot of things happened, right? This Indian legend, they tried their best, but anyhow, because it was World War II and the Germans were busy with their own propaganda, right, with their own motives, they couldn't help Bose too much, right? So Bose was really worried, and then he decided, he came up with a new plan, okay, and he took the help of Japan, and he thought that Japanese forces will be helping him. He even fought a few strifes with Japanese, okay, against the British forces, right? So you all must be aware of all these facts. These facts are not my focus. My focus is yet to start, okay? I'm just giving you the background so that you'll be able to connect, okay, when everything to the second phase of the presentation, okay? So this has all happened, and the idea of a liberation army was revived with the arrival of Subhas Chandra Bose. This happened in the Burma, and you must be knowing what happened in Burma. Indian soldiers fighting against, and they are it was a separate women's unit headed by Captain Lakshmi Swaminathan. Now this was Rani Lakshmi Bai unit, right? So all these things happen, and he did, gave his best. Okay, nobody would have done or displayed more courage than Netaji did. Okay, but unfortunately, things didn't turn up well. Okay, and it was during this stay of Netaji in Burma, right, that he gave his famous speech. Okay, in which he said, "Give me blood, and I shall give you freedom." Okay, now this is one of the quotes for which Netaji, even a child knows, okay, give me blood, tum mujhe khoon do, main tumhe azadi dunga. This was said by Netaji, right? So these are a few quotes, these are a few statements which really make him a person of admiration, and you'll never forget Netaji for that. Now, I would just like to share one small video clip with you, okay, in which you'll hear Netaji, right? And you just look at the determination with which he speaks, okay? I'll just, for a few seconds, I would like to play it, if possible. No, I think I'll not be able to play it here. No worries. Okay. Let's get back to the discussion. I'm sorry for the interruption. Actually, anyhow, I'll be sharing with you the video link, and you can refer to it later. Okay. So, this is all what happened. Okay, in his strife, in his attempt to gain independence for India, freedom for India, but things didn't work well because of a lot of other forces, a lot of other factors that were at work at the background. Fine. And then, but still, Netaji always displayed a never dying spirit. Okay, he kept on trying and trying and trying until he breathed his last. Okay, just a minute. Yeah. So, one of the most remarkable feats, you can say, of Indian National Army. Okay, that is there here. On your screen right now. So INS first commitment was in the Japanese thrust towards eastern Indian frontiers of Manipur, right? They came to a very good extent, and they even won in Andaman and Nicobar, and they even renamed Andaman and Nicobar where they renamed Andaman and Nicobar Islands as Sahid and Swaraj. Okay, now, so Indian National Army was really doing great, but only because Japan couldn't support it. Okay, because this force was totally dependent on Japan. We were totally dependent on Japan, and for arms and ammunition, not for manpower. We had enough soldiers, but the problem was the resources. So we were dependent on the Japanese, but because of unfortunate things, Japanese had to surrender to British Empire, and we were left helpless. Okay, so this is what happened in the backdrop. And in 1945, it was 18th August 1945 that it is believed, and that is the official document displays, that Netaji was traveling back to Taiwan. Was traveling to Tokyo. Okay, and he took a fighter bomber plane from Taiwan, and unfortunately it crashed, and he succumbed to his injuries. Right, but again, there are a lot of reports. There are a lot of commissions which don't believe in it, right? And they say that that was just a tricky plan to escape the British. Okay, so actually Netaji survived that plane crash, and some of the reports even, they display that there was no plane crash at all. Okay, now whatever be the real case, that is not our point of discussion. Okay, so our point of discussion is, as we have found, from the very beginning, Netaji, he has been an exemplary example in himself, right? Whatever, since his childhood days, whatever he did, he has been an example. He has always set an example, and he led the team at, he was not only a good leader, but he was a good team player. And only because he was a good team player, he was a good leader. Okay, and he always led the team from the front, right? So that is, the great personality of Netaji, which which is the center of attraction should be the center of attraction for all the youth, for the entire youth, right? Now, I'll give you ample reasons for that. Now, before we start discussing, before we start recontextualizing Netaji, I'd just like you to know, what was the guiding force? As Netaji himself has, in a lot of interviews, in a lot of places, he has mentioned that he's an ardent follower of Vedanta and Bhagavad Gita, right? So it was like he had that, special connect. He had that. He has been an example in itself, right? So he had that philosophical connect. He had that divine intervention, you can say, right? So he followed always what is ethical, right? And his force was in his heart. It used to come from within, right? There was a spring of energy within. Okay, and he even followed Swami Vivekananda's teachings. Okay, and many scholars believe that Hindu spirituality formed the essential part of his political and social life. So whatever be, but one thing which we cannot decline, or which we cannot deny, is he found a great source of energy within himself, right? And it was that energy that guided him, right? So whether it be Bhagavad Gita or it be any other person, but there was a force within him, right? And that was what made him an impeccable leader. Okay. Now, why was he a good leader? Now, from here starts our main, focus area. Okay. Why was he a good leader? He was a good leader because he always had a clear goal, right? You never find Netaji at any point of time in a state of confusion. Okay, till the time he found that okay, Congress is can be the source, Congress can be the route to freedom. He was in Congress, but the day he realized that no, I think Congress would not be able to do it for India, he ruled out of Congress, right? So he had a clear goal. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he was strong enough to devise plans of getting what he wanted, right? Next point, oppose anything. Now, he never allowed anything to interfere with his goal, okay? So once you are determined, once you have made up a plan that, okay, this is going to be my target, he just looked neither left nor right. He knew that I have to reach there, and he did that, okay? And he worked selflessly, right? So he never had any selfish motives. Whatever he did selflessly. He did for the love of his country. He was, I'm sorry, I couldn't show you that, video clip. Otherwise, you could have heard him speaking, right? He had excellent communication skills, right? So you need to have excellent communication skills if you want to be a good leader, if you want to be a leader at all. Otherwise, people would not listen to you. They would not pay attention to what you are saying. He led up front. He was always an example, as I said. He respected everyone. This is very important, right? You need to respect your team members, okay? There shouldn't be any gender disparity, okay? So he gave equal respect and equal opportunities to even his female cadres, right? So Rani Lakshmibai battalion, it got all its due respect, right? And they were equally involved in all the struggles that Indian National Army faced. Okay, he was a good team player, right? So a leader is one who gets lost when he is with his team, right? So you should not have that grand stature that yes, I'm the leader and you have to be subservient to me, you have to follow me. No, right? A leader is always a good team player. He never hesitated whatsoever. Never hesitated means he was very clear. He knew exactly what he wanted, and he never showed up that false egoism, right? For example, when he wanted help from the Germans, he went to Germans and he requested Hitler to help him. Again, he went to Japanese, he requested them to help him, right? So no false ego and all those things, it is not going to help you, right? He had never dying spirit, okay? He never said no. He never said it is not possible, okay? He just, if unfortunately he couldn't find one way leading to his goal, he found another way. He found the third way, he found the fourth way, right? But he never gave up, okay? Courage and determination, fine. He has displayed tremendous courage and determination throughout his life, okay? Now, these are some of the characteristics, these are some of the qualities, right, which can be easily understood, which can be easily explored, looking at his exploits, fine. So if you want to be a good leader, right, you need to have these qualities. If not all of these, at least a few of these. Okay. And anyhow, I'll be connecting both the things a little while later. There is another thing that I need to talk about. What should we learn from him, right? So this is the connect between what we discussed and what we are going to discuss. Okay. So strong dedication. This is what is required, right? We once we make a goal, once we dream something, we need to dedicate ourselves to our dream. Okay. We need to always look up to. We need to live for our dreams, okay? And I remember it was Dr. Kalam, right? Abdul Kalam, who said that dream is not something that you see when you are sleeping. Dream is something which will not allow you to sleep, right? So, we find that happening with Subhash Chandra Bose. He never slept once he thought that, I need Swaraj, I need freedom for my country, right? And then he was all over. He was in Germany, he was in Burma, he was in Manipur, he was everywhere, right? He was in Afghanistan, okay? So that is how, a dream, you need to follow your passion, you need to follow your dream, okay? So strong dedication. Number two, consistent efforts regardless of the obstacles. Throughout your life, you will be having obstacles, no doubt about that. But you need to find out ways how to overcome it. Okay? Crying over spilt milk is not going to help you. You need to find out how it can be used further. Right? So consistent efforts, again, use of all tactics, right? So you need to be not only courageous, but you need to be smart enough as well. You need to be witty, right? Otherwise, people will make a fool out of it, right? So you need to always keep your primary target, your primary objective upfront. Okay. So you need to use tactics, especially these days. Okay. Respect to others' emotions. You need to respect everyone around you, right? You need to show empathy. Okay. Sympathy is good, but empathy is better, right? So you need to show that empathy so that your teammates, the people around you, they get connected to you, right? So save yourself because team needs your service. And this is another important thing. You need to look after yourself. You need to remain healthy, right? You need to be in good spirit. If I'm myself not in good spirit, how would I cheer my team up? How would I get my things done, right? So you need to save yourself first because your team needs you. You are the leader. You cannot bow down, right? Okay. Don't steal away all the credit, right? So don't be hungry for the credit. No, if you're doing a good job, accreditation and acknowledgement will automatically come to you. You will not have to steal it. You'll not have to run after it. If you're doing something great, okay, definitely acknowledgement and applause are going on your way, right? Okay, higher the target, more other obstacles, so multiply your efforts. So you need to have that proper calculator with which you can calculate how much of effort is required in order to achieve this. Okay, and you need to break down your targets into phases. Okay, so phase 1, phase 2, phase 3. So after 3 months I need to be here, after 6 months I need to be here, after 10 months I need to be here. Once you break down your target, it becomes very easy, right? And you should always overlook the obstacles. You should always find out ways, devise methods with which you can overcome your obstacles, right? Okay, next point. Become a team player first and then think of being a leader. This we have already discussed. Never give up, whatever be the conditions, right? So this is what I said when I was talking about Netaji, never dying spirit. Patience, yes. Here, this is another keyword, patience, right? He when the Germans couldn't extend help to Netaji, he was patient, right? When Japanese said that no, Netaji, we can't, from here onwards you'll have to fight your own war, we'll not be able to help you. He was patient, right? He never gave up, okay? And he didn't surrender that easy, okay? Now, the next element, believe in yourself, your team, and the supreme, okay? So once you believe in yourself, right, the entire the team spirit goes higher, right? And then you have to believe in your teammates, okay? And then ultimate the almighty, right? If you're doing something good, definitely the nature, the almighty, whatever you call it, the god, will definitely help you with your objectives, right? So these are some of the things that we can easily learn from Netaji's life, right? And these are the qualities which make him a great leader, okay, whom we all look up to, and we have been looking up to, and we will keep looking up to always, right? He's an exemplary example. Okay. So now let us recontextualize Subhash Chandra Bose with the help of his own words. Okay. Now there were two ways of doing it. One was I could have brought in my boring lecture, but I decided not to do that. I thought that okay, from Netaji's own speeches, we can take up a few quotations which will help us recontextualize Subhash Chandra Bose in the present era. Okay. Now, when you ask yourself question, am I free? Okay. Now, I'm not trying to force my opinion, or I'm not trying to force my ideas on you, right? You are a free being. You just ask yourself, am I free? And if the answer is no, I'm not, in that case, these words of Netaji would definitely help you achieve that freedom of yours. Now, how to do that? Okay, this is what I call recontextualizing. So, whatever Netaji said during his days, we are just going to use his own words in the present age to get our things done, and it can be done. Okay, so the first quotation that I would like to take up is, no real change in history has ever been achieved by discussions, right? So, what is the takeaway from this, right? It's not the time to talk, it's the time to act. As long as you go on talking, nothing is going to change. Anybody can talk, but the achievers are those who act, right? So stop talking and start acting, okay? When I say acting, I don't mean making tantrums. When I say acting, I mean actions, right? So you have to start making efforts, okay? So it's high time. If you want to be free, you have to act. You have to act towards your freedom. You have to identify your goals, and then you have to try your best to achieve your goals, right? So I repeat, no real change in history has ever been achieved by discussions. It is only possible by through actions. So it is a time to act. Okay, the next one, as soldiers now, when you are trying to fight, okay, it is not necessary that you always fight against an imperial force, against an oppressor, right? The biggest oppressor is you yourself, right? So we try to oppress ourselves because there is always a tug of war between our brain and heart. Sometimes you feel this, sometimes you feel that, and if you are not able to control that tug of war, you will get lost, right? You will not be able to come out of that, like a whirlpool. So what you need to do is, whenever we fight against any force, actually we need to behave like soldiers. As Netaji said, all of us are soldiers. We are fighting a war, right? Some of the war people can see, some of the war people cannot. But the fact is, all of us are in a war, right? Now, if we are in a war, we have to behave like soldiers. And what should be the behavior of a soldier? It's here. As soldiers, you will always have to cherish and live up to the three ideals of faithfulness: duty and sacrifice. So these are the three golden words: faithfulness, duty, and sacrifice. Okay. So once you have got to know, once you get to know, once you know that you are being enslaved by something. Okay. I'm not saying that something. What is that something? Right. As I said, most of us are oppressed by our own selves, right? We need to stand up, and we need to be faithful, and we need to do our duty, and then we need to sacrifice the little comforts which we have in order to achieve the bigger things. Okay. So if you want to be invincible, engrave these ideals in the innermost core of your hearts, right? So yes, if we have that faithfulness, our affection towards our duty and sacrifice, we can achieve anything as soldiers. Okay. The next one, we have to build our life on the theory which contains the maximum truth, right? Now, there is no utopian world where everything is true, and we are not smart enough to know everything, whatever exists, right? So what Netaji said is, don't wait for that thing to happen. It will never happen. So whatever resources you have, you make use of it and try to get your objective done. Try to achieve your target, right? So we have to build our life on the theory which contains the maximum truth. We cannot sit still because we cannot or do not know the absolute truth, right? So you will never get an ideal situation in your life, a situation which is perfect for anything, right? There would always be some challenge. There would be always be some obstacle, right? So you need to come over it, right? So that is how we recontextualize Netaji. One more, men, money, and materials cannot by themselves bring victory or freedom, right? So even though you have all the resources, but you cannot be free, because actually what happens is your resources start enslaving you. I'll just give you an example. when we didn't have internet, we all used to crave for internet. It was very expensive. These days, internet has become very cheap. All of us carry internet in our pocket, and we have become a slave to it now. If accidentally the internet goes off, we find ourselves helpless in such a pitiful condition, right? So actually, what was supposed to be our strength has become an oppressor now. We have, like we have become a slave to it, right? So we cannot call ourselves free. So internet was supposed to make us free, but it has just happened the other way around. Now we have become a slave to internet, right? So men, money, and materials cannot by themselves bring victory or freedom. We must have the motive power that will inspire us to brave deeds and heroic exploits. Okay, so don't stop at your comfort zone. You need to go beyond it, and only then you will be able to achieve the bigger targets, right? Other than those quotes, there are a few more quotes which we can like recontextualize in the present era to help us, right, achieve our targets or achieve our dreams or make ourselves free. Okay, so these are some of the quotes. You can easily find it over internet. So I don't want to discuss it further and take more of your time. Okay, now, but still, I'd like to read one. Just a minute. Yes, this one. Life loses half its interest if there is no struggle, if there are no risks taken, right? And now these are again a set of golden words. Life loses half its interest if there is no struggle. So it is just the struggle that keeps you going, right? And freedom is not given, it is taken. Always remember that. So if you want to gain your freedom, right, you have to buy it. You have to work for it. Nobody is going to give it to you. Okay? And once you become free, along with freedom comes a lot of responsibility. So you need to behave responsible. So until and unless you have that responsibility factor, right, you don't think of being free. It's better that you are enslaved by something, because once you become free, that freedom would be very risky for you if you don't know how to use that freedom. Okay, now there is another quote that I would like to read. Yeah, one individual may die for an idea. One individual may die for an idea, but that idea will, after his death, incarnate itself in 1,000 lives. Right? Now, this is a wonderful quote, right? So it is your idea, right? And live for your ideas. And it is through your ideas that you will gain freedom, right? And that is what will make you free. Okay. Other than this, all other quotes are equally interesting and important. Okay. But I know you all are wise enough. You can easily find it. You can Google it and you can read it and enjoy it. I have just shown you a way how to recontextualize these golden words in your present situation and gain a reap benefit of it. Right. And these are the two links which you can, where you can hear Netaji speak, his original speech, and this is the source is Prasar Bharati, right? All India Radio. So you will find it on YouTube. So with this, I'd just like to thank you all for being so patient, listening to me all this 45 minutes, right? And I believe that it's high time to, we need to start working towards our freedom, and we should be able to answer that, yes, I'm free. Okay, thank you. That is it. I'm done for the evening. Thank you all.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you so much on this day. Your talk very apt, and maybe we can take a couple of questions in case somebody wants to ask any, if it's okay with you.
Yeah, ma'am, I'll welcome any suggestions, any questions, anybody would like to say anything.
Wants to ask any questions or any suggestions, you may feel free to do so. Anybody? You can unmute yourself and you can ask. All right. Now I think they're all still, recalling what you spoke about, Netaji today. Once again, I thank you very much, sir, for speaking about Netaji and sharing your thoughts about him. And I'm sure everyone enjoyed listening to you. Thank you, audience. Thank you so much for making it listen to the talk today. And we will meet once again in yet another webinar. Thank you, everyone.